Because kids look at you and they're like, why are you so ang mo? And you're like, am I? Don't we kind of look alike?
Hi.
안녕하세요.
你好.
Buenas.
大家好. Bonjour.
Namaste.
สวัสดีค่ะ Hallo, mein Name ist Carla Dunareanu. Ich bin 36 Jahre alt und ich komme aus Essen, Deutschland. Hi, my name is Carla Dunareanu. I'm 36 years old and I come from Essen, Germany. Well, I was born in Essen, Germany. It's quite an industrial town. It's not like the Munichs or the Berlins. And I grew up with a Romanian father and a Singaporean Chinese mother. Needless to say, there was nobody in that tiny town that looked like me or my sister, right? We're the only half Asian kids. But life was great. I mean, traveling within Europe was so common. I have lots of memories just being in the car, going across the border, and then my mom and dad pointing out like to the floor where you see the divider where it says like Germany, Austria. So things like that always stuck out to me. My mom was a stay-home mom. So she was always around. Like any memory I have in Germany was definitely with her. My mom was an SIA stewardess, and on one of her first few trips to Germany, she met my dad. So the first few years in Singapore were really fun. Going into school though, for like the first few times, it's so different. And it was hard because kids just didn't know what to make of my sister and me. This was back in the 90s. Having Pan-Asian kids in a neighborhood primary school was unheard of. Kids look at you and they're like, why are you so ang mo? And you're like, am I? Don't we kind of look alike, you know? And it was horrible because as a kid, not knowing how to deal with it, it was really hard. At that point, we spoke English because we went to Australia, but we had a German-Australian accent. In a primary school, local neighborhood school context, they're probably thinking like, what is wrong with you? Why do you sound like this? So I think once we were able to code switch and adapt a little bit more into the colloquial slang, it just made life a lot easier and more fun. I think being a third culture kid, you have the best of both worlds. You know, you have your Asian heritage, European heritage, and as long as you are able to embrace it, tap in on the little nuances, I think it just makes you a really global citizen. And I think having that cultural sensitivity, because I traveled and moved around so much, it's definitely become an advantage. It's the ability to compromise without feeling like you are going against what you want to do. So I guess I got into acting. I was probably 11. I followed my cousin to her acting class and she literally signed me up without my mom's knowledge, and then asked my mom for the money to pay for the fees, and then I ended up going for class. I would do it every weekend, and then there was going to be a casting director. They're looking for 2 young girls to be the leads of this film. So I was pumped, right? I was like, I'm gonna get this, I don't care. And then the casting director comes and I'm like, look at me! Like the irritating child that I was. But I booked it. I booked the job. Lo and behold, the main actor of the show was none other than Lim Kay Tong. It was a short film called Gourmet Baby that ended up opening at the New York Film Festival. And that was the first realization that what you are doing now is what you see on TV. And you see this fantastic actor that you see on TV and he's now in front of you. So from then, I started doing a lot more shows, and I was very lucky that once I ended college, I also ended up booking a job, which was like a really, really big job. Part of the team of that production was very Philippine dominant. So they asked a whole bunch of actors like, hey, let's go to the Philippines. So I said, cool, let's go. I ended up meeting the station manager for a radio station, 89.9. And he said, you have a really interesting voice. They don't have people who sound like me. I ended up doing radio for 2.5 years. And during the time that I was in the Philippines, I would still consistently get calls from Singapore. I knew that if I kept saying no, at some point it was going to be the last time someone calls me. So I really wanted a sign that if I'm meant to go back to Singapore, show it to me. And then I got the call. And it was from MediaCorp. We are hosting the 2015 SEA Games. Do you want to do it? Yes. I managed to work it out. everything was good. I came back to Singapore, and that really was a turning point for me. It really legitimized the things that I do, the professionalism that I had. The SEA Games coverage did super, super well. And that, again, catapulted me into a whole new string of work. So after I moved back to Singapore, I was still dating my boyfriend who I had met in the Philippines, and I ended up getting married in 2018. We got married in Singapore in Sentosa Beach. About 5 years after that, we finally managed to have our kid. And I think what was really important to me was to have a full family unit. You know, I lost my dad, so that's something I've always craved. And I thought if I can give that to my son, I want to do that. We packed up our life in Singapore and we moved to the Philippines. It was really hard. I think being away from family, being a first-time mom, no helper, no nothing, it was very difficult. After about 10 months, I realized that it was just too hard. And we ended up coming back to Singapore, you know, got ourselves a place, had my mom come over all the time. And now we're here, and I think just the move back really solidified the fact that I always come back to Singapore. Every time I leave thinking like, oh my God, this is gonna be a fun little adventure, and it is. But after a while, I think your heart always yearns for home. And then we came back, and then everything kind of fell into place. Life now in Singapore is fun. The drive to work is stronger than ever, right? The need to provide housing, financial stability, and knowing that I had a great childhood growing up, I think innately that's something you want to give your kids. So whatever it takes, you would be willing to do. So this is the first time in my life that I've done a corporate job. I think craving this stability is something I've never had before. My mind is consumed by so many things on a daily basis that the crossover to a corporate job is something I never thought I would do in my life. My identity as not just an actor, but as a person outside of being a mom and a wife was gone completely. And that loss of identity was very, very hard to accept. So being able to come back to Singapore, have an identity and a personality outside of my acting career and outside of being a mom. I loved it. I loved it so much. It's given me a lot of confidence. I did it so easily because the drive was strong enough. I think having my son, it's probably given me what I've been looking for, to be honest. The first few years when I came to Singapore, I think it was a lot of like foundational work of just trying to integrate. And then the longer I spent in Singapore, like doing school, working, it was always really fun knowing that I was the representative from Singapore. Being able to say that I'm the one that is going to be the face of Singapore now, and what I do is going to reflect on the country, is something that I take immense pride in, you know, and I never take it for granted. And it's something that I hope to continue doing, whether through my personal life or through my career. I think I'm proud to have been dedicated to this country for such a long time. The fact that I choose to be here, and anyone who wants to make Singapore home, they accept them. I think that's definitely something that I would like my son, my husband, to also benefit from. That Singapore is going to accept you and welcome you and be home for you. Dear Singapore, it's been a while, hasn't it? You've been one of the longest relationships of my life, and what a journey it's been. Thank you for welcoming my family and me in 1995, and for letting us not only stay, but truly thrive on your beautiful island. I came to you as a young girl trying to fit in. Within your borders, I grew, I flourished, and I found both my love and my craft. You gave me a chance to put down my roots and build a home. When I longed to see the world, you were my constant, the place I could always return to. Now with my son growing up here, I feel even more deeply the safety and belonging you provide. My hope, as a mother, is to pass that same gift to my son. Danke, dass du mein Zuhause bist. With gratitude, Carla.